Just a quick disclaimer, this video contains a lot of just Google it. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. And today's video we're going to talk about how to start a clothing brand, or I should say how I started my own clothing brand. So most of you know I started my own clothing brand in 2015. Well, the idea came in 2015 when I decided to start a clothing brand, and that clothing brand called Signature Lifestyle. And unfortunately it didn't work out because I didn't know what I was doing, and then I stopped for a couple of years, and then I decided to start again. 2019 in September I started, and that brand is called Relentless Clothing. In today's video we're going to talk about 5 things that you need to start a clothing brand. Number 1 is name. Every brand, every company has to have a name. Just be mindful of the name that you use, because obviously you're gonna have to work and market towards your name. Really think about the name. What's the story behind the name? So that's very important, because that's how you connect with your audience and how you portray your brand, obviously, because you can't have a name something silly and then it's about motivating people, but you have a name called Lazy Cat, for example. Just be mindful of the name before you start a clothing brand. The second is the niche. What is your niche? Is it going to be a streetwear brand? Is it going to be luxury? Is it, who's your audience? Who you're going to sell it to? What's the age range? Very important as well to think about who's my audience. Budget. How big or small is your budget to start the brand? Because obviously you're going to have to think about marketing under the budget, because you're gonna have to think about how much did your t-shirt cost, how much the packaging, the shipping. There's really a lot to think about when starting a clothing brand, and budget is probably the main factor. It really evolves around the budget of your clothing brand. You have a product but you don't have customers, so you're gonna have to spend your money on marketing or influencer and stuff like that. So I think that's really important to think about, like, how much are you willing to spend on the clothing brand, because clothing brand is not as easy as like getting a product and selling it. To earn money on clothing brand, you gotta put money in it as well. So that's the things that you're gonna have to really think about. So if you have a really good budget, then that's good. When I started, I didn't really have a budget. I didn't know. I started my own clothing brand, I was just like, what is a budget? So that's where I failed, because I find that I'll find a manufacturer that print or do my t-shirt for like 20 pieces, 25 pieces, but at the time there's actually not a lot of companies that does, especially in the UK, that does 25 pieces, because obviously screen printing around 50 per design. Obviously as a startup you don't want to have 50 product and then not knowing your audience, what your audience like and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of people as well think like, I'll get this printed and then I'll sell it straight away, but that's not really a case. This t-shirt, not everyone's gonna like a t-shirt, so you just wasted 25 pieces, let's say £350. You just wasted that because you're not tested the product onto your audience, because you don't know your audience. That's why having a niche is very important, because you don't know who you're selling to. Would they like this t-shirt? Would they like the next t-shirt? Would you like the different font? Do you like the colors? And I think that's why you need to think about the niche of what you're going into. The last thing is manufacturer, and I think there's a lot of people that doesn't know this, and there's a lot of people that actually ask me, where's your manufacturer, and things like that. And to be honest, I don't really share my manufacturer, because it's not that I don't want to help. It's just about, I spend a lot of time, probably 2-3 years, to find the manufacturer that I have now, and even then I don't stay into one manufacturer. I have a couple of manufacturers here in the UK and abroad as well, because different manufacturers have specific niche as well, because the manufacturers might be good in t-shirts and then they fail at the hoodies and stuff like that. So I think it's very important to think about when you ask in this industry whether they think like, oh, he's not sharing his manufacturer. It's not like that. It's about, you know, learning and finding your own manufacturer. I know it's hard, but when I started, I didn't know any manufacturers in the UK or abroad. Nobody showed me the way. Nobody taught me how to find these people. It's just literally a lot of googling. It's just literally Google is your best friend. That's what I did, and I still learn off Google, really. So yeah, so don't get offended when you ask me where my manufacturer is, because it's not that I don't want to tell you. It's about what works for you as well, because it might not work for you. So I just don't want to get the blame like, oh, your manufacturer is crap because they came back with a sample, you know, they messed up. And I don't want you to spend your money into my manufacturer and if, you know, it didn't work out just because it's not right for your brand. Yeah, so I want to go back into, so the budget that you have, like I said about the manufacturer. So if you want to have 25 pieces of t-shirt with different logos in it or different design, you got to think about of the product that you're selling when you start manufacturing your stuff abroad. I think there's a lot of people that doesn't know this. There's another way, when I started. So when I was going around asking, emailing, messaging manufacturers and stuff like that, well, I didn't know cotton sew means it's made from scratch. So you'll send them the details of what you want. So you'll have to send them tech packs. If you don't know what tech pack is, just Google it. You know, just YouTube it. So what tech pack is, you put the details on what do you want on the product. So if you want, for example, a certain size, a certain details, a certain type of sewing techniques and stuff like that, or certain sewing patterns and stuff like that, that's where the tech pack comes in. So you'll have to like send them the sizing, how big is the print, how big, you know, what color, what type of material, what the neck tag's gonna be. And yeah, that's cotton. So basically starting from scratch, but there's a round to it. So what I did when I started the clothing brand, I basically Google around and then watch a lot of YouTube and stuff, where how do I put product out without, you know, spending a lot of money on just one product. So what I did was Google and then blah blah blah, type things that I want to do. Let's, for example, how to start my clothing brand. And then I came across this website where that sells heat press. You know what that heat press is? I think I've got a video somewhere in my channel. So just watch that, how I print my own products and stuff. And then the next thing I did was buy a vinyl cutter. So if you don't know about vinyl cutter, again, Google it and it'll tell you. So I bought a vinyl cutter and then I bought a heat press. Actually, these things are from my fiance. She's given that to me as a Christmas present, I think one of the years when I started, when we was in Manchester. So yeah, so she got me that, and then I googled on how to use it because I didn't have a clue how to do it. So I started, I'm not sure if I have a video on the phone on my first cutting experience, and then I pressed it on just, I think it was a Primark t-shirt, I think, at the time. And then so I did a quick design, and the vinyl cutter, it's called, actually I forgot the name of the vinyl cutter, but whatever. So I googled it and how to use it. So I put my design into the computer, and then basically just put the t-shirt in. And you know what, I'm gonna make a video again, and the whole process of vinyl cutter and heat pressing it and stuff like that, so just so you can see it. But so that's another way of putting your clothes out there without spending a lot of money on cotton sew, which you're not even sure if you're gonna sell it, because this is a startup brand and you don't have a clue. If you just want to see your designs, I'd suggest get a vinyl cutter and then get a heat press. But if you don't want to go that route, you don't have to buy it. Actually, you just Google vinyl cutters near me, or like a screen printers near me, and then just basically talk to them and say like, this is what I want. I think there's actually there's a lot of website now that you can go into and then just find the answer, pretty much anything on Google. So if you just want to see the design, that's what I did. So I went to the market in Manchester and then said, listen, this is my design. I gave him my USB and the design is there, and it's basically cut it on this vinyl cutter and pressed it. It was probably 15 minutes and it cost me around 20 pounds to get my t-shirt and my design. So that's one of the ways to go around if you don't want to spend a lot of money to cut and sew. You can buy a blank and then go to the normal printer shop and then give them your design and they'll do that for you. So you got your name, you got your niche, you got your budget, you got your manufacturer. So the last thing I'd say is, if you find a really good manufacturer, always ask for samples. And I'm gonna show you why sampling a product before going to a mass production is vital into running your own clothing brand. I've got this design, it's called the Drip t-shirt. It's actually on the website now. So this is a sample. I don't know if you can see it. So the quality of the print isn't really great because some things are, some of the print, the quality of the print isn't really up to standard. So I messaged them when I received it, and then they actually told me the quality of the design when I sent it to them isn't up to not the best quality. So shout out to Sabrina Milana. She's a graphic designer and she helped me, but then she helped me to obviously to vector the files because it wasn't, and that's one of the problems. So this is the finished product. So that is the end product. So you can see the quality is a lot better. Great. That's the final product. So that's why it's important to sample your product before to a mass production. Another one that failed was when I was doing the skinny fit joggers, and then because I'm small, so actually catered this for me, but they got it wrong obviously because for some reason the sizing didn't match up. So see how tiny that is? If I produce that without sampling it, I just wasted money. So we had to sample I think 3 times because they didn't get it right. So as you can see, if I produce that without having a sample, I just wasted around £300. That's why sampling your product is very important. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe and leave a comment if you have any more questions, and I'll see you in the next one.